welcome Nick Nolte back to this table. Welcome.
Thank you.
We got some stuff to talk about here.
All right.
All right. Just looking at that body of work, before we get to Northfork, tell me about it. I mean, how do you feel about it? It sums up a career with a lot of rather remarkable performances.
I feel generally good about it. You know, I have my moments of emptiness, of feeling. There are a few films I sold out on, quite frankly. You know,
yeah. Meaning you didn't show up.
Yeah, I showed up, but I showed up only for a huge hunk of money.
Right.
And it's funny what your mind can do. It can convince yourself that a bad script can become good. I don't know how you think that's going to happen.
Continue to persuade yourself.
Because if it's a studio picture, there are 15 writers on it. Yeah. So who's going to have the final say in that? But it's just a terrible feeling to walk away from something that you know you didn't do with your heart. Yeah. You did it because you needed the cash. And so I stopped doing that. I didn't do it. Well, I made 3 in a row, you know, and I was making about $7 million at the time. So
it built up.
Yeah.
So the bank account got fat.
Yeah. The divorce was covered, and you know, I was stable again.
Yeah. How are you? Because you know we read the papers and. Explain that to me, because I know you've told just what happened and how are you doing today, and is all that behind you? And
well, you know, I've never had any qualms. I'm an addict, always have been, and I got control.
Addicted to?
Well, multi-cross addicted, you know. And when I was 48 years old, I finally found out there was a program for this, that other people had it too. I thought
you were not the first person to be addicted.
Yeah, right. And they had a program called this name, and so then I stayed sober for 10 years, and then in this scientific research that I started doing, hanging out with scientists and doctors and things, I discovered this substance GHB, GABA hydroxy butyric acid, as part of the GABA system. And the wonder about it is the GABA system inhibits neural activity. Too much dopamine, it'll slow it down. Too much serotonin, you know, it'll cut it down. So it keeps everything in balance. It's the balancing system. So when you mess with the balancing system, you're at the source. So it would create a mild intoxication. But the problem was, Charlie, the degree from mild intoxication to an anesthetic was about 1/4 of an inch. It was 1/4 of an inch more liquid, and you were totally out. So you had a tendency to sleep in inappropriate places, Union Square in San Francisco, you know, or different places. And I drank it for 3 years. And then when I tried to get out from under it, I just couldn't get out from under it. It's not so much the craving of it or anything. It's just it kills pain. It relieves arthritis. It's a mood elevator. The French scientist that discovered it also in the same year discovered Thorazine. And in his speech, he said, I think GABA butyric acid is a far better benefit to mankind. And I was introduced to it when it was still legal. It was legal up to about 91. You could go in any health food store and get it. Then the kids started getting a hold of it and using it in raves. Now, the date rape thing, I never got raped, so I don't quite follow the logic on that. It's kind of a cover for the Rohypnol, which was a pharmaceutical coming from the pharmaceutical companies. I suppose one could, but I think alcohol is more of a data rape drug than GHB will ever be. I think it's fading in its popularity.
But what did you do to attract all the attention?
Well, you know, that morning I was trying to get off it, and I had gone to an AA meeting, but I had already had that morning drink. You drink it, it releases a growth hormone, and you can work out tremendously. And I went to the AA meeting, and I saw all my friends, and I just knew I was too messed up to go in. And instead of taking the back roads, which I always do, to my home, I never have to go on PCH, which is amazing.
Pacific Coast Highway.
Yeah. And for some reason, I turned right down on PCH and proceeded down and fell asleep at the wheel, and somebody pulled me over. I remember saying to myself, the jig is up.
I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. Well, I won't be allowed to do it anymore, you know, which was a relief, really. Yeah, quite a relief.
Now, what was the judgment?
The judgment was just driving while intoxicated, like you would deal with anybody. I didn't get any special breaks, and I didn't get any extra.
Right.
You know,
there was no celebrity bashing.
No, but you know, it put the alert out, and I was up in Oakland with a bunch of doctors, with this Teamster, my driver that's lived with me for 30 years, except he can't drive. I drive him now. It's really ironic.
It's a little ironic, isn't it?
Yeah. And somebody out of the blue called the district attorney and said, this anonymous call, and I saw Nick in a liquor store buying liquor, and he was drunk. So I had to come back and go through that process, which the judge finally just said, look, he's been following the program perfectly, dismissed.
Now, are you still using this stuff? Or you?
Oh, no.
No, you understand that the balance is not.
Yeah, no, the balance is not there. I do know older people that use it.
Right.
I only know old people. They say it's used at raves and things like that. But older people, it does wonders.
If it cures arthritis, then
yeah. Well, you don't
feel it, right?
You
It
don't
cure
feel
it,
it.
but it alleviates
Yeah,
the
think
pain.
of it as a painkiller. Instead of going to the receptor sites, it sits in the GABA system. It just inhibits the
I want to come back to science, because
Yeah.
you have a long. You and I talked about science last time you were here.
Yeah.
Northfork.
Oh.
Roger Ebert says this is a masterpiece.
Yes.
Directed by the Polish brothers, who did a number of films, but they also, I don't think we mentioned there, they also did The Good Thief.
Yes, as actors.
As actors. They came to see you and said, we want you
Well,
to
every day they would say, you're going to be in Northfork.
And you would say,
You know.
yeah.
But then they gave me a script, and I read the script. It was just wonderful.
Yeah.
Because everything was on the page. It was just beautiful. And if we pulled it off, it was going to be wonderful.
And you pulled it off.
Yeah.
Roll tape. They look at that. Just give one more clip. Here you go.
All the doctors have left Northfork.
You're returning him then?
He's a very ill child. We cannot make the journey with him in this condition.
We apologize, Father.
We appreciate your honesty, and we'll ask for forgiveness.
Forgiveness? Let's be honest, Father. You gave us a sick child.
I gave you an angel.
What's the story?
Well, the story is really, literally, on the surface, a boy has died. He's been brought back to the orphanage by parents that they're going to flood this area, and these parents can't take care of him, and he's sick. And I've gotten rid of all the boys in the agency. And this child comes back very, very sick. And the story is that when he goes out of consciousness, he lives in another world. Now, from then on, you really can't quite get a grasp of what reality is. But because there's another whole group, which we call the Black Angels, which are local citizens that have hired out to the company that's going to flood the place, that if they evict 25 people, they get an acre and a quarter of land. You know, it's the big corporate battle, you know. But this falls into dying and with great elegance and question of change and wonderful characters. Daryl Hannah plays this, I'd say a morphodite. She's both man and woman. And but she, I think it's her best work
In a while.
Yeah, because it's a wonderful character. If you know Daryl, she's kind of that spiritual way, you know.
I don't know her, but I've heard that.
Yeah, yes. She has some. She runs her truck on vegetable oil. It makes total sense. All she does is go down to McDonald's and say, "Can I have your vegetable oil?"
And they say, "Sure, we need to
sure,
get rid of it."
We got to get rid of that thing. And she runs her truck on this vegetable oil. She's got 55 gallons of it. She's got about 10 55-gallon drums.
Yeah. Can you look for a script, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you see, when they showed you the script, you said, "I'm your guy."
Yeah.
But you were about ready to make
The Hulk.
the Hulk.
Yeah.
So
Well,
you have a dilemma.
Real dilemma, because when Ang Lee, we went up to San Francisco to shoot the end, that big scene between the father and son, which was 4 pages long, and I knew Ang wasn't going to shoot it in a day.
He doesn't shoot that fast.
No. When he starts to speak Chinese, so that the producers can't understand him, you know, you're off to the races. You know, but he did a very strange thing. He came up and he said, "I want to start with your close-up." So I thought, well, you know, I can do it safe and get through it, or I can go for something that I can't go for, you know, that I've never been able to do. And he was basically asking me to set the tone and the tempo, is what it was. And for 3 hours, I couldn't string 2 words together, 2 sentences together. All the producers had got up and left. And Hank came over and he said, and I was down on my haunches, you know, I had so much adrenaline running through. He said, "Nick, do you think it's time to string 2 sentences together?" And I thought about it. Just about.
We're almost there.
Yeah. And when it did come together, but the problem I was having, it was at such a high pitch, I would faint. I would get dizzy in between, and you know, and literally, if I kept going, I'd faint. And then eventually, I got comfortable in that state.
But you hid from Universal the fact that you were going to make Northfork.
Yeah. Well, so we had planned, you know, maybe 2 days or 3 days of shooting, and then to come back and scoot off and do Northfork because I had little time off, and then back to, and nobody would know. Well, you know, driving home, my English friend drove home. We picked the wrong car, one of those big RV things. Yeah. They're horrible on the road. You know, you're bouncing around. I was shot. My nerves were shot. I kept thinking I was having a stroke, you know. And Matt said, I think, you know, your eyes would close or something would twist or something. So I called up Vicki Lewis and I said, "Am I having a stroke? I mean, I just feel..." She said, "Are your eyes twisting, or your blurry vision, or is your right hand, or this? Anything gone numb?" "No, you're not having a stroke. You're just traumatic." So I got home, and then there was a party going on. I had an abstract painter from New York, Chuck Connolly, who did New York stories, and his wife there, under the conditions that they would teach all the kids painting. There's a lot of kids hanging out at the house. My son's 17, so, you there's a group that hangs out. And so he said yes, and he was there, and they had a party going on, and that's the last thing I wanted to do. And I turned to Matt and I said, we have to go do Northfork to get rest. So that's what we did. Now, Universal found out about it. When we got up there, there was a memo from them that we will allow you to do this, but you must not change your hair. You must not change the basic look.
Well, that's reasonable on their part.
Yeah, oh, absolutely reasonable. It's a gift that they allowed me to do it. I mean, they usually don't allow that kind of
Is that Stacy, or did it go that high? Did Ron Meyer and Stacy Snyder?
I don't know how high it had to go, because I just never talked about it again.
You just did it.
Yeah, I just did it. But
Now, how do you feel about the Hulk?
well, the Hulk I like tremendously.
Do you?
Yeah, I know there's some areas that I think that I know Universal is very happy about it, but Ang Lee didn't approach a children's show.
Yeah.
There was no action within the first.
In other words, he tried to.
He tried to represent the universe.
Yeah.
He would bring us in, and he'd have rocks and sand, and he'd say, "Now close your eyes, and what do you feel? You feel this?" Well, I finally caught on to it. I'd say, "Well, you do it first. Tell me what you feel." He just was, textures and everything.
You love acting.
Yeah.
What you do is what you're proud of.
Yeah.
Are you good on the set? Are you disciplined? Are
No,
you professional?
very good, very good.
You know your lines. You don't
yeah.
screw around. You're not on drunk or on drugs or anything.
No.
You behave.
Yeah, I behave. Because once I walk
Otherwise,
in,
they wouldn't come back to get you.
Yeah.
So all these times that they all want you.
They wouldn't, no. When I walk into that trailer, I feel free. Most actors feel it's a prison. To me, it's freedom. Because when I shut that door, I think of nothing but the film.
You're living in another world.
Yeah. And that's a very comfortable.
And it's a world that you know you're good at. You can
Yeah.
walk on, I know how to do this.
Yeah, yeah,
And there's enough evidence
yeah,
on celluloid
yeah,
that says I can do this.
yes.
And so you're comfortable.
Yeah.
And so the question of, it's like somebody who knows they've got the strokes
Yeah.
saying, just want to make sure I got all the,
Yeah, research
got it together.
Yeah,
So that I can make sure that it converges
together. Yeah.
with the strokes that I have.
Yeah. With the balance of the strokes of everything
right,
else.
right.
You don't want to play beyond your film. You don't
Say
want.
that. What does that mean?
You don't want. Well, some actors will play above a film, especially if they think the film isn't very good. So that they play above it, and comment on it. You know. I got out of that habit very young because it was this theater director, Don Stoltz. I went to him. I was playing Girl in My Soup. And I said, I can't do this play. I'm from repertory. I don't know. He said, as long as you judge it, you will never be able to play the character. So,
As long as you judge it.
yeah.
I think you're better for it than,
Yeah.
can't, whatever you might say.
Then it's impossible.
So if you don't judge the character, what do? Become the character?
Yeah. Yeah, just become the character. It can't be all of you, but it's most of you, and it's maybe isolated little forms of you. A lot of it is taking things away out that you normally would do, Carol Rice was my mentor, and he came on the deep and watched me for 3 weeks. And they had introduced me to him, but I had no idea why he was around. And then he walked up to me and he said, Nick, I would like you to do Dog Soldiers, which is Who Will Stop the Rain.
Yeah.
And he said, it's a Robert Stone book. Have you read it? And I said, oh, yes, yeah. And he said, I want you to play Hicks. Oh, yeah, I'd love to. He said, but we've got to do one thing. He says, I don't want you to fraternize with the crew so much because you're leaving performances off camera, you know, and we'll learn stillness.
Good advice.
Yeah. And then I did his very last film, which I always felt guilty about. And
what was his last film?
His Everybody Wins, an Arthur Miller piece with Deborah Winger and myself. Yeah. We were sitting in a yard together, and he was looking at the sky, and he said, Nico, this is my last film. And I said, oh, Carol, we all say that every time. He said, no, this is it. And he never did another film. So I kind of, you know.
You worked with Katharine Hepburn.
Yeah. She's great. She was great. Yeah. She, about the shaking, she said, you know, Nick, my father shook, my grandfather shook, and I shake. There's nothing abnormal about that. She came on the set one day, then they had called her, and they weren't quite ready. And she said, listen, you boys have got to understand something. I spent all night long thinking of this scene. I've spent all my time in the trailer preparing for this scene. And when I walk on the set and we don't start, that means I have to go back to the trailer and have a lapse in this concentration. And so you boys get your stuff together and get it ready. Or, you know. Let's just stop this.
She also said to you once, I hear you've been drunk on every gutter in town.
Yes.
To which you said, I can't stop. I've got a few more gutters to go.
Yeah, I said, oh, not everyone, Katharine. I have a few to go. Yeah. She, she dealt with a man that had a drinking problem.
Yeah.
So she was
Spencer.
Spencer. But he would do those long-term disappearance things, and then be fine.
Would she take care of him?
Yeah. He was doing the play towards the last, and she literally had to stand off stage and help him through it.
You did one film. What? How many films were there? One.
Yeah, at her insistence. Originally, it was a script she had. She threw it over my gate. I read it, thought it was great. We met with Hal Ashby and the writer, and Hal said he wasn't going to direct it, that the writer was going to direct it. And like an idiot, young actors are really kind of dumb, because they're influenced by all this fall to Rome. And I wouldn't do it with that, with the director. And then about 4 years later, I called her up one day and I said, look, that was stupid, you pick the director and we'll do it. And she picked Anthony Harvey, and we did it.
No, is there something else you want to do, like Affliction?
I got a film coming out. This was something important to me. Beautiful Country. Hans-Peter Moland, a Norwegian, directed it. Terrence Malick produced it. It's about a Vietnamese boy, half American, half Vietnamese, and his journey to find his father.
Yeah.
Finds him in the end, and the father's blind.
What's the story? I've heard about this. What's in the title?
A Beautiful Country.
Yeah. Now, you're going to make this, or you already made
We've made this.
And it's going to be released at some time.
Yeah, probably in the fall.
And it's great.
Yeah, well, Hans thinks it's great.
And you think it's...
Oh, yeah.
And Malick produced it?
Malick produced it.
Tell me this story. You once told me. When you were making The Thin Red Line.
Yeah.
And you wanted the right angle.
Yeah.
You remember?
Yes. Yeah.
You wouldn't shoot for 3 days.
Yeah. Well, no, you know what it was? When I got down there, all the young actors came to me going, Nick, this guy's crazy. He said he doesn't know what he's doing. I have 5 scenes. We've shot the spine, but not the ending. I'll never get back to the emotion of where I was.
Help me out.
Yeah.
Talk to him.
Yeah, what's going on? So I went out and I kind of watched Terry. And then about 6 or 7, he'd start watching the sun. And when it got just golden, he'd say, let's go revisit. He talks in that high voice. Revisit that scene we did the other day. I know, John, nothing will match, but it doesn't matter. We'll go right over here against this thing. So he was finishing the scenes in golden light. Now, he couldn't have told the studio he was going to do that. They would have gone nuts. Yeah. And then there's an Amaretto piece. And then this real wonderful Joe Dorowski, who is beyond Fellini in symbolism.
Right. I'm going to end with this.
Yeah.
Tell me what you have learned in your fascination with science that's made a difference in your life, or might make a difference in my life.
By getting deeply involved in the mechanics and the processes that go on in the body, you learn basically the raw materials of the body. If you test for your free radical level and the amount of antioxidants in you, you'll see there's a huge difference. And you can change that difference. You can bring your antioxidant level up. And so, you begin to know all the systems and things. And it's your choice, if you want to change the hormone. As we get older, our hormones decrease. The hormones are nothing more than messengers. Don't make this, do make this. You can increase your testosterone by really critically, not overdoing it, but back to a 40 to 25-year-old level.
You do that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because
I thought that was risky.
Well, there.
Cancer and all that.
Yeah, I think I've read a lot about prostate. I think probably the worst thing to do, now if you're in the final stages of prostate cancer, then take the testosterone out. But I think they're going to find that prostate cancer is more related to estrol than it is to this bad form of
Another hormone?
Yeah, it's the female hormone.
Right, that's what I thought.
Yeah. There's been quite a few books written about it and stuff. And besides, if you take the testosterone away, it does far more than libido and sex drive. It's a muscle tone.
Right.
It's the whole structure.
So how do you do it? Injected?
I use a gel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you don't need to know where to put it. You probably know. Then there's growth hormone.
You do that too?
Yes. Now there's a high debate there,
I know.
too. I'm a bit of a guinea pig. I'm going to die anyway. I mean, at one time, the fellow that wrote the book, 8 Ways to Better Diet, or Better Nutrition from Arizona.
Yeah.
He was quite against me and this because he thought I was trying to live forever, and I was denying death. And he said, what you do in old age is accept death, and you learn somehow to. Well, I'm going to do that too. There's no question about it.
But you can postpone as long as you want to.
Yeah,
Not as long as you want to, but someone said I would like to postpone as long as I can.
Yeah, and
I'll come to grips with it at the
to,
right time, but right now I'd like to postpone.
Yeah, and I'd like to be healthy in that process.
But see, there's such a contradiction here with you.
Yeah.
We know what it is.
Oh yeah, well.
A guy who's out there searching to try to make himself healthy, and at the same time has been destructive.
Yeah. I think that usually comes with a personality like mine. They do. They try to do enough good so the destruction is not quite as much. Maybe they'll gain a little bit.
Yeah. And here's my last question, because I got to run way out of time, way over now. Northfork, remember that movie you're proud of, and there's others that are coming out, especially the one about Vietnam. Even though you've told me twice, the title?
Beautiful Country.
Beautiful Country. Great to have you.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Always. Nick Nolte, Northfork, The Hulk. So many great roles, so many great performances. We'll be right back.